Hello, gentle listeners and viewers, and welcome to another episode of Prima podcast. My name is Nisa, and I am joined, as always, by my right-hand man, or rather, woman, Bella.
Hello, everybody.
And so, welcome back. If you've seen other episodes, if you haven't, welcome. We're happy to have you. If please click on the subscribe button and also the bell for the notifications. If you haven't already, it really helps our channel. Also, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Prima Podcast, and let us know what you think. Comments, suggestions. We love to hear from you.
Yes. And in some point in this episode, we talk about how here in Brazil we don't have the subtitles in Portuguese, but since
the 19th,
February 19th, yes, this th is terrible. Yeah, this we have in subtitles, in Brazilian Portuguese subtitles. So
Yay!
It's amazing, and it's just an update about our episode.
So enjoy our little rant and our complaint, but know that it is actually not true anymore. So without further ado, on to our episode. And this week's episode is all about a phenomenal musical, Hamilton. We are taking a venture a little bit outside of our normal nerdy conversations. So, Bella, as a non-American, how would you describe this very American musical?
Well, it's a difficult question because I think if I would tell to a friend to watch the movie, now it's a movie in Disney Plus, I would say it is an amazing musical about the American Revolution, but mainly is about Alexander Hamilton and his life.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I think for people who's not from the US, the most important part of the show is the Hamilton story.
Yeah.
Why he why he do the things, why he did that. I can't say this.
Why he did the things he did?
Yes, this. Yeah. The decisions, the marriage, and
but let's face it. If you were to this has also been a joke a lot of the times. Like it's an amazing show. It's now become a global phenomenon. To quote a line from Hamilton, basically. So he is, but it has the worst tagline, the worst selling point. It is about an American founding father set to hip hop music. That does not; those two do not sound like they belong together. I think when Lin-Manuel Miranda, the creator of this, he started writing this. I think 2008, I think is what he said in an interview. But he performed a song, Alexander Hamilton, at a spoken word event at the White House in 2009. You can also find it on YouTube, him singing this. And when he told the Obamas what he was doing, and also when he told when the audience started hearing it, everyone laughed. They're like, "This is what? No one. It makes sense. Like,
it won't work.
No, it won't work." Daveed Diggs, who plays Lafayette, and George Thomas Jefferson, said that when he was when Thomas Kail, who is a director, came up to him and said, "Oh, so Lin is doing this this rap musical about Alexander Hamilton." Daveed Diggs was like, "That sounds like a terrible idea." No one is like, "No, it does not."
But yeah, it sounds like a terrible idea. Like, come on, it doesn't make sense if you like. For me, it didn't make sense when I first listened about this, and I was kind of I don't know if I want to see this
No, I had
because
okay. You want you
first,
think that, but now think about me. Me and my friend Jen have been kicking ourselves in the head since 2015. We had a chance, like we were trying to choose which shows to watch, and we one of the shows that we could have watched was Hamilton. But when we saw, I'm like, I turned to her and I said, I don't know if I want to see Hamilton. I'm not really into hip hop. I'm not into. Let's go watch. We decided to watch another play called Something Rotten, which is about like the first musical and about the first musical trying to be created during Shakespeare time, and it has references to all the other music. It's a great show. But anyway, the point is I went to go see that instead of Hamilton. Until this day, we both look at each other and go, "We are morons, complete idiots. We should have gone to see Hamilton." Because it was easier to get. I mean, it still was difficult, but it was slightly easier, and we had the opportunity to get tickets. Because now, even when Broadway does come back, it's going to be impossible. I still want to see it live though, but it's going to be nearly impossible. So thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, you lose your chance.
I lost. I threw away my shot basically. I couldn't resist. It was there. Oh man.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I was excited. The reason why I was super excited about this play, one, I was super excited to see it. Two, theater in general is a very big part of American culture. Not only American, but especially in New York and places that have theater, right? It's it's very well known. People come to New York, want to go see a Broadway show. Most people, not everyone, but it's one of the draws of New York City, like the West End is for London. And I was super excited about this because I was like, oh, so this is something different we can talk about, something that, as far as I know, I don't think the theater scene in Brazil is as prominent as it is in the US. And I wanted to see what it was like for a foreigner, and I'm talking about as an American, someone from a different country, to see a American musical about an American founding father, about the Revolutionary War, done in a very basically America today, telling the story of America then. And how would that translate to an audience who, one, doesn't have someone who doesn't really have a lot of connection to theater, hasn't seen a lot of theater, and in a different country, and all these things. And I was super excited to hear what you thought about the show.
Well, first, it didn't translate like literally because Disney Plus didn't put the subtitles in Portuguese. So I was very, very
annoyed,
upset with Disney, because come on, okay, I see the difficulty of
dubbing.
Yeah,
I agree with
always
you.
forgot this word. I see the difficulty of dubbing because it's a musical. It's some parts it's very fast. So okay, I see the difficulty, and this can be really went to a really ugly way.
It could have been. It could have destroyed the musical. It couldn't. It could have really disconnected you, taken you out of it, because the dubbing doesn't work. The connections aren't there. The words aren't flowing, and it is a very. When I say fast-paced show, I mean it is fast-paced. Like, there is no moment. It's literally nonstop. As is describing how Alexander is, that he's nonstop, is how the play is itself, describing its protagonist. It's a nonstop show. It does not stop. So I get that dubbing would have been difficult, especially like when you have Guns and Ships, which is like the fastest rap in the whole entire show. It's like, I think I forgot how fast it is, but it's like super fast that Lafayette sings. To have that be dubbed, I can see how that would be a challenge. But to not have it with subtitles is a bit annoying. I get that music is sometimes hard to translate. Sometimes I create translations for music. Like, a lot of times you don't see subtitles for songs in movies. Like, you don't see that translated. Sometimes, like, when they're singing, like, you don't see the translation of a song, and you hear the actor's voice sometimes, depending on what the situation is. But in a case like this, there's no point in launching it in a country where you're not going to have it be accessible to people who speak that country. You're obligating them to speak English or understand English, and I don't think that's fair.
Exactly.
That was I was really upset because I was so excited for you understand English, so you weren't going to be an issue. You were going to understand it. I wanted your mom and your sister to watch it because I thought that they were going to love it.
Yeah, at first I was about to put the movie for me and my mom and my sister to watch, but then I realized that it wasn't subtitles in Portuguese, and I was very upset about this because it doesn't make sense, you know. Really doesn't make sense this, and so I was very very upset. So it didn't translate it at all.
No.
um, but here in Brazil we have like in São Paulo, it's more this theater culture is more strong there in São Paulo
Yeah,
than
makes
here
sense.
in Belo Horizonte.
So it's kind of
I think
like
it's
LA and New York, where you have here will be like movies and TV, and São Paulo will be more theater, whereas like how it is in the US, New York is more theater, LA is more movies.
no, both is in Rio and São Paulo, both. Um, television, most important television shows is run there, and the the theaters is more there as well. So
I mean, New York has both movies and TV, but I'm just saying, like, focus wise, one has a bit more than the other.
Yeah, but it's both is strong in Rio and São Paulo here in Brazil. We have some adaptations of Broadway, really good plays like Chicago. The Lion King came. Chicago Lion King. I think Singing in the Rain. I don't know because it's not it's not here in Belo Horizonte, so it's kind of far away from me. So it's not part of my day-to-day life. But it's not so well known as well.
Yeah.
It's not very um divulgar. How I say this?
It's not like divulged. It's not like it's very much stays within the places that have theater. It doesn't like go outside of like where it does here. Like for example, Hamilton won a Grammy.
Like they don't make it merchandising about the place.
Advertising.
Yeah, advertising.
Yeah. Like for example, Hamilton won a Grammy. It was on the top 40 charts. Like it was doing very well. It wasn't just it crossed boundaries to the point where, first off, Hamilton was supposed to be a concept album. It was never going to be a musical, and then its evolution it turned into a musical. But there is something called the Hamilton Mixtape, which is where other artists took certain songs and recreated them, recreated them or rewritten them. Like My Shot, done by the Roots. You have one of my, I Wrote My Way Out, which is basically the idea of Hurricane, which is literally the whole point of it is Hamilton saying how he wrote his way out of all these tragedies, all of these things, and he's going to write his way out of this affair that he's now going to, the scandal that he's going to be creating, and ended up backfiring. But that idea of the song translated into a song that's called I Wrote My Way Out with Lin-Manuel Miranda, Nas, and a bunch of, I can't remember all the names, rapping and talking about their own situations, right? And then you have another one that's called Immigrants We Get the Job Done, which is the melody to Yorktown, which is again the whole idea, immigrants we get the job done. And that is a line from, and it repeats, immigrants we get the job done, which is the line from the show that they put in to the song.
Yeah. I think this is one of the best things about this play. It's exactly this. They have people from all colors and from all places.
Yeah.
Or at least it seemed to me.
Yeah.
Like descendants from Chinese or from like people from Asia, from Latin America, from other countries like from Africa, probably because there are Black people there. So this is very, very amazing because it's um how you say in the beginning of the episode, it's the American from now telling the story of America then.
Yeah.
So this is the America now.
Yeah.
All these people from all these countries come together to make a better life or something like this.
What I think
it's beautiful. Like
no.
The Scarlet sisters, the both the three of them are different from each other.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it doesn't seem weird when you watch it.
Because
it's natural.
Yeah, and what I love about you saying that is that that's exactly the intention behind Hamilton. Not to cast a bunch of white dudes to play these white dudes because that's what they were in the past. Oh no, they have to represent. No, they don't. The spirit of the show is what's important. The story is still being told. You still believe the story. You still get the idea, but it makes it more accessible. What I love about it is that there's every character. Again, this just shows just how much of a genius Lin-Manuel Miranda is. By the way, can I just say, Lin-Manuel Miranda is like a puppy. There's no way not to like this man. Am I wrong? Like I mean, he's just.
You're right.
He's like, he is a puppy. There's no way not to love him, and I don't mean this have a crush on him. I mean like he is just a brilliant human being. Like you have to love him. There's no way not to like him. Anyway, so, I love that you because that's exactly what the point of it was. That you don't need to do that, and that's why he also created the hip hop, right? Because he felt that Hamilton's story was a hip hop story, right? He wrote his way out of the Caribbean, which is like, well, there's nothing more hip hop than that. He wrote his way out of his circumstances. So, and I was so excited about this music. What I love the fact is that you saw that. You, someone who's not part of America, sees exactly the intention of what he wanted to do, which was to show what America is and show that if they're immigrants, show that it's not just a bunch of white people, that there is more to it than that. And the fact that you from a different country are seeing that, to me is like, so he did do his job.
But he did. But I think as well, it's because Brazil is, in this point, Brazil is very similar to the US.
Just look at the two of us. We're from the same family.
Yeah. If you see the story of the two countries, we were a colony from a country in Europe. We had slavery. We had our independence for them. Brazil, a lot of years after the US, but okay.
But you just didn't have a war. The only difference is you didn't have a war to win the independence, right?
Yeah, Brazil doesn't really like wars.
That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. I mean,
no, it's amazing because we don't have hurricanes, we don't have volcanoes, we don't have earthquakes. We don't have wars. So it's a very good country to live.
In that sense, yes. But like every
politics
country
is the thing that.
I was about to say.
Yeah, the problem with Brazil is the politics.
Yes, because the U.S. has no issues with politics whatsoever. We have no issues with politics.
But I was saying that in a way, Brazil is very similar to the U.S. because we have a mixture
melting pot,
a lot
like the U.S. Like it's a melting pot is the expression.
We have from Portugal mainly Portugal, Italy, Africa, and in the south we have Germans, and in São Paulo a lot of Chinese, but it's mainly in São Paulo. So we have
isn't it Asian? Because isn't it just a different? It's different countries, right? Not just China, right? Isn't it Asian?
It's mainly China.
Okay, I was just curious because I really don't know.
We have a kind of Chinatown in São Paulo.
I think that's around the world, though. I think everywhere around the world has a Chinatown.
But it's mainly in São Paulo. Okay. But we have, and the Germans is mainly in the south of Brazil.
Okay. That's cool. But see, like I said, we have that in common. There's a melting
Yeah,
pot
yeah,
and
yeah.
everything, but that's not, and it's also not only that. It's also reflected in, not only is it reflected in the cast, but it's reflected in the music.
Yeah, it's mainly rap, but there is a
No, but
lot of
it's not that,
other
the different
music.
styles of rap too. Each character has
Yeah.
its own distinctive tone, inspired by a
Hmm.
certain artist. That's very different. Like for example, Lafayette, when he starts, it's very like basic, very, because again, it
Hmm.
was to show that he doesn't speak the language, right? He's an immigrant, so like
Uh-huh.
and then he turns off and has the fastest rap. You have Hercules Mulligan, who's very like loud and boisterous, and then you have George Washington, who's very meticulous and very straight, again, to represent the type of person he is.
Yeah, the
um
personality. Yeah.
Burr kind of sings a little bit more than he raps. He kind of speaks and sings more than he raps. You then have, one of my favorite moments is actually when Thomas Jefferson appears, right? Everyone is singing hip hop and all
Ah.
these different styles of music. And then this guy walks in singing jazz, literally saying, and this is something that Lin-Manuel Miranda said, that he's like, this is supposed to represent someone who's been away from the country. He's not been a part of the revolution. He was off in France doing his own thing. He was still, helping the country and doing his part, but he was away. So he comes back and he's singing, "What did I miss?" And like, it's completely different sounding from everything else you've heard
Uh-huh.
throughout the show.
Yeah.
It's like, he's like a very old style of music, which again, to represent that he was not there during the change.
Hmm.
So that, I thought that was
Yeah.
very cool. By the way, my favorite moment of that song, and when he goes, and I had Lafayette draw up or whatever he says. And I'm like, you told yourself? Because he plays Lafayette. So when it says that he got Lafayette
True.
drop, and I'm like,
I didn't realize this.
No, I realized that recently. I'm
it.
like, so you talking to yourself there? Because realistically, it's
It's a
the same
self.
actor.
It's a self referencing.
He's referencing himself. Like, he's like, I had
Yeah.
Lafayette drop. I'm like,
Amazing.
you told yourself to drop it.
Amazing.
Okay, cool. That's awesome.
Amazing. Oh, yeah. There is one thing that I think is amazing in the movie, because I was concerned about how they filmed this.
Yes.
Because I think most people think the idea is to put a camera among the audience and just record.
Yeah.
But they really thought about the
angles, the camera angles.
The angles. I would say positions, but yeah, the angles. And when they do a close up in the face of the character that is singing, to so you can see the emotion, it works really, really well. Really,
I watched an interview.
So it works.
Yeah, but I watched an interview with them talking about this, and they filmed 2 live performances, right? Which is the ones you see when they're the ones that you see, to do the wide shots, and then they had 1 day or 2 days where they shot close-ups, and that's where you also get them filming King George walking in. Like, you see the back, you see King George, you are seeing what King George sees, right? You're on his back and you're watching him walk through. That is something an audience member would never see, right? In the Eye of the Hurricane, when they're the Reynolds pamphlets, when they're throwing up all the papers in the air, you're looking down on that, right? You're seeing it from a bird's eye view. Again, not something the audience can see. And for the longest time, they used to make fun of Jonathan Groff, who plays King George, that he's Groff sauce, right? Because he spits. And then you see, he spits the whole entire time he's talking. It's like, wow, he's intense.
Yeah, but
you'll see that as an audience member.
It was like the best detail about him. Like, just you can see the intensity of what he was saying. Yeah. So for me, it was the best detail about him.
Yeah, that, and I also know the fact that Beyonce wanted to steal his walk, because he had a very specific way of walking. And there's an interview with him on Stephen Colbert, where they're talking about the show, and he said that he had to have a very specific walk because the cape was heavy, the crown was super heavy, and it was basically so he didn't have a Lucille Ball moment where he starts leaning one way and then leaning the other. He had to walk in a very specific way, and Beyonce just wanted to steal that walk.
Well, just steal the crown.
Yeah. And then I love the fact that the day that Beyonce and Jay-Z went to go see the show, Lin-Manuel Miranda was in the hospital with a fever of 104, and Beyonce was gonna be going to the show, and he's like literally like ripping out the IV. He says, "I can do," and his wife's like, "You need to stay, take a break," literally, to quote the show. "You need to stay down. Like, you're not going anywhere. You're not performing it with 104 fever. Let's be realistic here."
Yeah.
But they had a rotating door of famous people coming to see the show every night. And I think, again, there are people who, I think Rosie O'Donnell has seen it like over 15 times.
I really hope I have the chance to see.
Me too. You're not the only one. I guess I live in New York, but still, yes, me too.
But for you, it's much easier because of
it's slightly easier. Yes.
Because the real today. $1
the exchange
today,
rate is not. It's very difficult. So you have the exchange rate.
$4. And you live in New York, so.
No, there's a lot of factors that make it difficult for you, but you never know. I mean, let's cross our fingers and hope it will happen. But it's just one of the. But it's
maybe when I become a famous journalist, I can go there and interview them, especially
David Diggs.
Yeah, David Diggs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I get it. I totally get it.
I say, "Hi, David Diggs. Hi."
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. So what was I gonna say? I had a thought process that I completely forgot about it. So before I forget,
your favorite songs?
Okay, I have several favorite songs. Favorite songs are easy. No, are hard. Favorite songs are hard because there are so many. There is one that I have a hard time listening to, and that is "Say No to This," because I just can't. I mean, it's a great. Don't get me wrong. It's a great song. It's like the lyrics. It's a great song. It's literally talking about justifying cheating, and I can't. I just can't. And I'm just like, I don't like this. I don't like it.
I agree. There is another music that I don't like to hear. But it was made to be annoying. The
Farmers.
Yeah, Farmer Refuted.
That's the first one where the Samuel Seabury, right? Not the rebels who call for revolution.
Yeah.
Although there's a part of it that I do love. There are moments in that song I love. One, I love Lafayette pushing Hamilton forward.
The scene is good. I mean, just listening to the music, it's annoying because it's supposed to be annoying, but I don't like to hear it.
Farmers Refuted is a little, but it's necessary, right? You need to see that scene.
Yeah, it's supposed to be annoying.
Yeah. But speaking of which, there's something that I love that Lin-Manuel Miranda did is to create. Actually, no. Before I forget, this is something you need to watch because you're gonna love it, and who else wants to love it. So there is a comedian, Catherine. Hold on, I need to figure out her name. I'll remember her name eventually. But it's this amazing comedian. Who did she's Canadian but lives in I'm trying to see if I can remember. She lives in England, right? And she went to go see the show. And then during her, this is on Netflix, during her stand-up routine, she has a moment where she talks about Hamilton, how she loves the show. And then she goes off on how much she could, like basically joking that I don't know if this is true or not, but she basically got kicked out of Hamilton because she couldn't stop yelling at the screen saying, "No, like, what are you doing?" She's like, it's really funny to see her basically like yell at the screen of how horrible it is that he's like hitting on this woman. He's like, "No, it's like, this is not, what are you doing?"
Yeah, but I was controlling myself, but in my head I was just like this, like, what are you doing? Don't do this.
My thing is, it's hilarious but accurate. Like, it's exactly how I feel about it too. And okay, it's called her name is Catherine Ryan, And I think the one that she talks about it is called Catherine Ryan Glitter Room. And there's a scene where she talks about that. And anyway, so Netflix, she put, there's also a tweet about Lin-Manuel Miranda basically saying, yeah, you're not wrong. Like, he agrees with what she says about the scene, but, like, you know, it's not like he created this story. This actually happened with Mariah Reynolds and Alexander Hamilton, so he had to put it in the play. He just wrote the song to talk about the scene, but he didn't create the scene. It's part of history. But it's just really funny. I just love, every time I think of Say No to This, I always think of that skit of her talking about it, because I'm like, yeah, she's right. Completely right.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, she is. But yeah, so
but what is your favorite song?
Me your favorite. Okay.
I don't have a favorite. I have several favorites. Want to know what the ones that my opinion changes every time. There's a few that never change. One of them is Wait For It. I like love Wait For It. I listened to it several times.
Yeah.
But I also then it fluctuates between like My Shot and Helpless, Satisfied. I don't know which one. And I think I'm just gonna say Satisfied, Helpless together. And then there's I also love Guns and Ships, because I'm so proud of the fact that I finally am able to say I'm taking this horse by the reins, and I can finally say it. Not saying I can sing it perfectly, but I can do it half-assed. But I can finally at least say I can at least sing along to that song, which is an achievement for me, because I cannot rap to save my life.
I can.
And then of course I love Your Town.
Any music. So any music that is a little bit more fast, I just can't.
Oh yeah, makes sense. I mean, not in English?
In English, yeah.
Yeah, making sure, because you said in music, I'm like, well, I think that's not the case in Portuguese.
In Portuguese is easier, obviously. But in English, I just like... I
have a question for you. Because hip-hop is also very, very American, right? Mm-hmm. Hip-hop is something, I mean, not saying it's the only American, but it's a very American thing. That's also something too, like how is it because, you know, listening, is it also a big part of Brazilian music, hip-hop, or style, or are there influences? Yeah. Do you hear where you go,
very popular.
Yeah. I was just curious because
rap is very popular here. It began obviously in São Paulo and Rio.
Makes sense.
But in the last few years, here in Belo Horizonte, it grows a lot.
Grew, yeah.
Like we have some rap battles.
Rap battles.
Yeah, we have some rap battles here in Belo Horizonte.
Cool.
every week. Not in the pandemic, but before.
Yeah.
There is places here in Belo Horizonte that is very famous, that people reunite there to make rap. It's growing. It's growing a lot here in Belo Horizonte.
That's cool.
So it's very popular.
But is it like, is there a specific, like, you know, how different styles to create their own style?
It's not really good. It's not really good to talk about this right now, but because we have Big Brother Brazil.
Yeah.
And there is 2 participants. There is rappers, but they nobody likes them. They are we hate them right now. To be honest.
Okay. Well.
But they made this to put some famous people in the house.
Yeah.
And 2 of them were rappers, very famous rappers. So one woman and a man.
Okay, I was just curious more in the sense, like,
pretty popular.
Is it also a very different style of rap? Because I think every country kind of takes it and creates their own thing.
Yeah, probably there is a style, but I don't know enough to say.
I was just curious. Because it's like, you know, you take something and then you, of course, adapt it to your own culture, your own language, and then obviously the rhythms are going to change. The influence behind the music is going to change. Mm-hmm. So I was just curious because I figured, but that's neither here nor there. But we're just talking. I just figured I'd ask. So what is like I said, my favorite songs go everywhere. And then I listen to Room Where It Happens, and I go, oh yeah, I love Room Where It Happens. And I listen to Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Stories. Oh yeah, I love that song. I can't choose.
Oh yeah, it's
hard.
very difficult to yeah, it's hard to choose. But I think I would take the scene as well. For me, the scenes that were more that had more impact in me were Satisfied, because I was just, it was stunning.
Yeah.
Stunning?
Stunning. It is. It is. It's an amazing scene. Like, first
It was
off, let's think about this.
The first time I was arrepiada.
Goose flesh, goosebumps.
Yeah, because it was so beautiful.
No, it is.
And
one of my favorite. The moment I saw that scene, I fell in love with that scene. Fell in love. It was just
it's amazing.
Brilliant.
The world was wide enough, make me feel like it's very intense as well. And
I love
because the story makes me almost cry, because it's very difficult for me to cry in a movie. It's very, very, very difficult.
I'm not.
So
I'm an empath, so I cry basically at everything.
No, I cry a lot. But Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells a Story makes my eyes with.
It's such a beautiful
almost
song.
Cry.
But the world was wide enough. I love the line that Burr says, I now am a villain in your history books. I was just too blind to see. It's a great line, like him saying, like, I'm a villain. Everything about this show. There's so many amazing lines, to the point where history has its eyes on you. I'm patiently waiting. And other ones have actually been used in Black Lives Matter protest.
Yeah, but Wait for It has some lines that makes me feel like, oh, it's so true. Like,
doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes. Yeah.
Love
doesn't discriminate. I love that. Also, can I just say really quick for I can't believe it took me so long to connect this dot. So first off, Lin-Manuel Miranda has also written like songs for the Tony Awards, right? The opening numbers, and the 2 times that he did it, what's his name? Neil Patrick Harris has been a host, right? Singing these songs. And I just realized, you've watched How I Met Your Mother, right?
Yeah.
Can you guess which song would probably be Barney's favorite?
Wait for it.
Yeah.
But I was supposed to tell this for you, because the first time I was seeing the scene and the wait for it, I was like, wait for it.
Wait for it. Yeah, I had to say, it took me forever to realize Barney Stinson.
Oh, I have here. I have the bro code.
Yeah, I
have the bro code.
I never bought it. But I just love the fact that that it took me a long time to realize, oh yeah, that'd be Barney Stinson's favorite song. Wait for it. Duh.
Wait for it.
But yeah, I love that song. My favorite thing about that
Legendary.
Song, Legend. Wait for it, Derry.
So
what I love about that scene is that if you just listen to the song, right, you decide, I'm going to listen to this song, which I do all the time, it makes you want to dance. Like that part where he goes, wait for it, I am the, and then it goes like, wait for it, and then it just like explodes, and it's like this intense moment. Mm-hmm. First off, there's 2 things I love about that song. One, you hear it more when you watch the show than you hear it on the recording, on the cast recording, is when he says, I am the one thing in life I can control. There is an echo. I am the one thing in life I can control. And it's like massive, like echo. And I love that part. 2, I love the fact that the whole entire stage is still. It's like this massive dramatic song that if you listen to it, you think, oh, this must have an amazing dance number, amazing choreography. It's going to be still like, and I think it's geniusly done to reflect Burr's internal struggle, where he has to constantly be in control. He says, don't let them know what you're against or what you're for. Talk less, smile more. Like he runs on this platform too, where he doesn't say which side, what side he's on, right? He basically changes based on who he's talking to is in a survival instinct, right? And it's just amazing. That song, full, if you hear it, it's a very different experience from hearing it and watching it, where you see exactly what it means, that song, because it's this powerful song that you think, oh, this is a scene where you see him explode, and no, he's still the whole entire time. There's only one movement where the actor, the other ensemble is seated on a chair, or seated in chairs, and then they just turn at one point to look the other way. That's it. That's the one movement they do. The rest of the time they're just seated on the stage. And it's so impactful because, again, it's like this idea is reflecting who he is inside. I thought that was very well. I still to this day love that song. The other one that, if you're going to talk about Burr's journey, that you really see is Room Where It Happens, where that's the one where he just like starts dancing and crazy and moving around at the end of it. And I love the fact that it's discussed in the talk about the show, where if you pay attention, Burr always moves in a straight line. He has a very strong purpose of where he's moving to. And it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a reason for it. There's always there's a reason for where he's going, what he's doing. Everything is calculated. Everything is done with a purpose. And Hamilton kind of goes everywhere, right? He just kind of moves in his own face. And then as the story changes, you see Burr start moving a little, like I think after Room Where It Happens, he kind of moves around a little bit more. And Hamilton is straighter and more still, and has more purpose, and isn't as everywhere. So it's a very little things like that again, if you watch the show, there's so many things that you miss references to. Like I forgot when we were talking in Portuguese, I completely forgot that there's a reference to Beauty and the Beast, and it pisses me off that I forgot to mention that there's a Beauty and the Beast reference.
What? Which one?
When in Take a Break, where she says stick your courage to the sticking point, which is a line from that's Kill the Beast. It's from the song Kill the Beast that Gaston sings. Take your courage to the sticking
I don't know
yeah,
the
you wouldn't have gotten it
or
because you watched
in English. I just know Portuguese.
So, but that's a reference to Beauty and the Beast. It's also a reference to Harry Potter thrown in there too. There's a reference to everything in this show. The Harry Potter reference happens way in the beginning, though, with Hamilton meeting Burr, and that is Lin-Manuel in an interview with Emma Watson saying that that's basically Harry meeting Malfoy before he meets his real friend, which is Lafayette, Hercules Mulligan. By the way, that's such an amazing name, and John Lawrence.
But you're saying about Burr is for me is very interesting that the story is about Hamilton, but also is about Burr, because since the beginning they tell the story of both, like together, like
they're parallels.
What is happening in the life, telling what is happening with one and the other one, and the stages of life as well, like the beginning, and then they have children, and then they reach power, and then the final
but like you see
meeting.
You see that kind of reference in the beginning, where the first duel, the 10 duel commandments, they're seconds for Lee and for Lawrence. Hamilton's Lawrence, Lee, and Burr's for Charles Lee. Not historically accurate, but works for the show.
Yeah, but it's funny because for me here in Brazil, we study American history, a part of American history, mainly the part of the colonies and the revolution. We study in school, and obviously we know some names like George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson. It's famous, but the one that I recognized too was Charles Lee,
which is a deep cut, because that's interesting that someone who's like not studying, who's not from the U.S., who doesn't study history, knows who Charles Lee is. Okay, Yes.
Exactly. I was like, oh, Charles Lee over there. I know him. I want him to die because
I know him. Sorry, I started.
I played Assassin's Creed 3, and he's the villain.
Oh.
And he's so annoying.
So
I
accurate
want
depiction.
so much to kick his ass in the game. And
so accurate
then
description.
Yes.
Accurate portrayal is what I should say.
Oh, you're so annoying. I don't like you.
You're not supposed to. So it works out. But I love this show. Also, just so you know, this show won we're nominated for 16 Tonys, won 11. They basically
like
claimed
Titanic
the
of Tonys.
Yeah, basically they won everything. Almost that year. Also, fun fact. So I was like looking for interviews and things like that to watch, right? And I stumbled upon the cast of Arrow during a Comic-Con, during San Diego Comic-Con panel. I forget what year it is, where they sang "You'll Be Back." During their panel, they're singing "You'll Be Back. Soon you'll see." It's really cute. It's really kind of interesting. Random as hell, but it was fantastic. Yeah. Oh, by the way, have you ever watched House?
House the Doctor House?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Lin-Manuel Miranda's in that. You know that, right? When he's in the rehab center and his roommate who's constantly moving around like the human version of caffeine, that is Lin-Manuel Miranda. The human incarnation of caffeine, that is Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I had to watch it again because I don't remember him, like the face. I remember the character, but I don't remember the face.
So the song "You'll Be Back" was inspired by Hugh Laurie. Because I forgot when he was talking to Hugh Laurie about something, but Hugh Laurie makes a comment I think they're talking about the American Revolution or something like that, or American, and he goes, "You'll be back." And that song is inspired by Hugh Laurie. And Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote that song on his honeymoon. Random thought I want to throw out there.
Great. It's amazing. Like, imagine you were the wife and you're like, okay, I've been changed by a paper and pen. Okay.
Also, but let's sit for a second and think about how he created the inspiration for Hamilton came from him going to a Mexican beach vacation where he was in the airport, needed a book to read on the beach, and decides to pick up a massive bibliography by Robert Chernow about Hamilton as his beach read.
Yeah, okay. He's not a normal human being.
No, his logic does not represent our Earth logic at all.
No.
So
he's supposed to relax, and he was kind of.
But apparently, no. I think for him it was a fun read, and then we got But then again, also Hamilton came out of it. But he chose to read it. Not like it was homework. He chose to read it. The other fun story I have is that, the song "Dear Theodosia," right? It's a sweet song about Burr and Hamilton singing to their children. One, Leslie Odom Jr. has an amazing story about that. Is that when they first started doing the show, the first place that they did the show, they didn't have lighting, so he had to figure out what he had to do during the moments that Hamilton were singing because they're not in the same space. So he would just say, "No, I'm just going to bow my head and pray." He was basically praying to his daughter, who then after 500 prayers, he now has a daughter. I think his wife is pregnant again. I think it's another daughter, but he was praying for his daughter. He basically prayed to her over 500 times, and I think that's the sweetest story, right? The other sweet story is that you think that Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote the song about who? His children, right? His son. Mm-hmm. No. It was written about his dog. It's because it was a dog that was a rescue. This little puppy was biting at his wife's ankle when they were on the beach in Dominican, I think Puerto Rico. When they went to Puerto Rico, they were on the beach, and this dog came up and started nibbling at her heel, and they fell in love with it, and they adopted it, and that's the love of this came from Dear Theodosia came from him to him because of his puppy. The other cute thing is the song That Would Be Enough, right? That Eliza sings to Hamilton. So Lin sang this song to his wife, and he turns to her and he's like in tears, and she just turns to him and says, "Oh, this is what you want me to say to you, isn't it?" And he goes, "No. I'm saying this to you." And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, you cannot love this human being even more. He's Eliza singing. I can't. He's singing this song. I guess it came so easy to him because it's how he feels about his wife. And I'm like, and his wife is like a lawyer and a scientist, and he says that he's the dum-dum of the relationship as he but it's amazing. She's also one. I know.
You said dum-dum.
I know.
I remember. Hey, dum-dum, you give me a gum-gum.
My favorite version of that is when we went to the Natural History Museum and you switched the two because you were so excited. And I'm like, what?
Hey, gum-gum, give me a dum-dum.
I'm like, it's the other way around. But that was fantastic. That's my favorite memory of that one. And I think that this musical resonates differently depending on when you're watching it, right?
What do you mean?
Different, whatever's going on in the world, it can affect how you see the musical, right? Like maybe at the time, the immigrants line was very prominent because, it was roughly around the time of the whole administration changing. Now you hear it in the audience when they said immigrants, we get the job done. There's a massive cheer. And then you have, now it probably resonates differently. So it all depends, I guess, when you're watching it. I want to see how it's going to resonate with people several years down the line. How are they going to feel about it? But I love the fact that I'm hoping that what you saw is and what it's supposed to be is going to be there. This is what America is supposed to look like. We're diverse. We're different. You don't need to do it a certain way. You can have it differently. Maybe one day we'll have it be gender bended, which means women playing Hamilton, like everything different. Like you don't have to have it, and that could also happen now too. But I love the fact that I don't think this musical is never not going to be relevant because I think it's. Yeah. So that's one of the things I love about it. That and the fact that it's just so much fun to sing the songs. I love singing the songs.
I think they are very smart about several things. For many people, history is very boring, but they put in a way that is not boring at all. The music, they are really catchy. I found myself singing, I do in the house here. So it's very catchy, and they put this in the modern language.
Yes,
as well.
That I liked too.
Yeah, it's easy. It's easy to like because you can connect to the characters. Like it could be me in that time.
It's accessible. They made it accessible to us as an audience. So the other thing I love is that what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Damn it! I lost my train of thought. It's gone now. It went away.
I don't know
what I was going to say either. I had a thought, and then it just went out the window.
Sorry, I can't.
No, it's not your fault. I looked down at my notes, and whatever thought I had went away. I love. So obviously when they opened the show in London, Lin-Manuel Miranda was there to go see it because he wrote the play. He's going to go see it premiere in London, right? He went. And then he saw it with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, right? And there's a picture of him looking very like a meerkat, like just jumped out of him. It's actually really fun. But the fact is that he said that he was a little bit nervous about watching it with Prince Harry. Because
it's kind of a criticism.
No, that's not why. Helen Mirren already told him that they love getting the piss. We love getting the piss taken out out of us. It was the fact that he was watching it with Prince Harry, and King George is his great 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 grandfather. That's
Yeah.
That's where, but they loved it. But but the thing is, I thought was really interesting is that, and I want to know if you had this reaction. So there's, this, and obviously how Wait for It starts is Theodosia. Theodosia writes me a letter every day. I'm keeping her bed warm while her husband is away. See, nothing. You're dead. Exactly like me. You're hearing that line, like, okay, that's fine. When the British audience heard that, they turned into a bunch of 12-year-olds. Oh, it's like that they had a reaction to that. They're all like, oh my, he said that they basically turned into 12-year-olds talking about that. I'm thinking to myself, now how did they feel about Say No to This? Because that's the one that's really like, I'm curious now what they thought about.
Okay, they are more conservadores.
Yeah, because it was just really funny to hear that, like, but you had the exact reaction, and the best part is that he said,
I know how much they can be conservative.
There's a line. We watched Miranda, right? Isn't there a moment where they're doing the charades in the TV show where they made the joke of one of the charades is no sex, please, we're British, is one of the charade games that they're playing in the show. So there you go. So it was just really funny, but I love the fact that you had he said this to, I think he was on Stephen Colbert or one of the other talk shows, and he tells this story, and literally, and he sings that line, and he said exactly what I said to you. See, dead, nothing. No one reacts to that. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it's kind of okay.
Oh, please, Brazilian soap operas have done worse.
Whoa, much worse.
So I don't think you should be shocked. I'm just saying. So I just thought that was really funny. No. That's their reaction.
Move along. Let's not talk about this.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it's not shocking when you see, like, it's not shocking. But
okay. He's having an affair with the woman, and okay. And so, it's not okay. It's wrong, but it's not common.
It's not like scandal. No.
It's
clutch my pearls.
Not a scandal anymore.
No.
Yeah, it's not a scandal anymore. It's not like, oh, I am ashamed, I can't walk in the streets anymore. It's not like this.
What Hamilton did was like, that's the one that like killed his career. That killed his career.
And can kill a person itself, like like the husband can kill the wife for honor, and is okay in that time.
Yeah, and also he could have challenged Hamilton to a duel.
Yeah, so it was.
That is how he died in the end, but still.
And what the problem with these people? Every problem is, a duel, I will shot you. Come on.
But that is definitely something of the time.
Yeah, but it's everybody dies in that time. Like, okay, you made me an offense, and I will kill you.
Yeah, I think, but also look at the punishments for tons of like crimes that were committed. A lot of them were death. You don't believe in my religion? Death. You don't. You said one thing against the crown? Death. Like everything is death.
Yeah.
You stole a piece of bread. Cut off your hand. Like it just like it's okay.
Yeah, but come on. Anything is an excuse for a duel.
Yeah, that's true. That really is something I don't get. Oh, something I realized. I forgot what song it is. I think it's Hurricane. Where it makes sense to be Hurricane. By the way, I love Hurricane. One of the lines I love in Hurricane is basically him saying all the things he did. I wrote my way out of hell. I wrote my whatever. I love that moment in the song. But I love the fact that I think in that song, if I'm not mistaken, they have a moment where it kind of does the exact same thing as Satisfied, where it kind of reverses and shows scenes from his life. But there's so much going on that it took me a second to realize, that's exactly what they're doing, because I finally was able to pinpoint the scenes that they were showing, not just the turntable moving and the stills. I'm actually talking about like the moments you see behind the scenes happening, like him talking to like Washington and all these things. I think that's the song. But I just love the fact that it's so subtle that it's not there, but if you pay attention, it's exactly what Satisfied is doing, which is like, if it was a movie, it would be those scenes being shown again of all the things. It's a montage of all the things that accumulated into this moment of her in that song, Angelica having that case of like, and then you have Hamilton reflecting, and it's beautifully done, because again, it's like something that's so easily done in movies. How do you show that in theater?
Yeah.
So I thought that
they were genius to do this in the theater and work it so well. Yeah.
I also love the Reynolds pamphlet where he goes, "Have you read this?" And Alex Lackamore, who's a composer and everything like that, just reaches his hand out and David gives him the pamphlet. I love that moment so much. Also, in general, David Diggs, besides the fact that he played both characters, he's amazing. He played both characters brilliantly. His comedic timing on certain things are the things that I like. If I miss it, if I'm watching it and I miss that moment, I will rewind. It's the during when Washington on your side, it must be nice. It must be nice. When like Berg walks out, I just love David Lafayette going, where the hell did you come from? Like this, like looking around, not Lafayette, Thomas Jefferson, like, where did this person I just love him looking around the stage like that. I also love him pushing Alexander when in Farmer's Refute. He's like, no, you're gonna do it. You're gonna talk to him. I love when and this is actually an improv by David Diggs where Madison's like, what did I miss? And he goes, where have you been? And he goes, France. That was something he added. France, which again is a fantastic moment where he's just like, why are you asking this dude? I love that moment so much. And then I also love when they're talking about, basically it turns into, must be nice to have Hamilton on your side, and Madison's like, you're gonna have to get Hamilton's endorsement for you to become president. I adore I just love David's like shaking his head like, no, I don't wanna, and then he sings along, but I just love him like, I don't want to, don't make me. And I also love that
he's amazing
when they're reading the Reynolds pamphlet and he goes, that was my wife. You were what? He walks around like, what? I love that. I love this show so much. I love like hearing them talk. Like, the other thing I really thought that was very well done was the bullet. If you don't pay attention, you see that they're one of the ensemble she portrays the bullet. Yes, you see her like in the Stay Alive where she brings the bullet over his head. But if you pay attention, right before Philip goes into his duel, he interacts with her. She's also standing next to him during the countdown and to Duel Commandments. She's the one who like is his partner in "We'd Never Be Free Until We End Slavery" in Yorktown. So she's following them around right before each of them meets a tragic death. So I thought that was something, again, if you don't pay attention, you probably miss that her character is called the Bullet, which is not referenced anywhere, but it's something that she was supposed to be playing. I thought that was beautifully done.
Yeah, it is.
I love Yorktown, by the way. My favorite part of Yorktown still, though, is we had a spy on the inside. That's right. Hercules Mulligan is my favorite part. Right before like Hercules like pops out. I don't know why. I just adore that part. I don't know. There's no reason for it. I just do.
Yeah. Okay.
So, anything else you want to add after I basically, I don't know, I've talked so little.
No, I said everything.
Yeah. So do we want to end it here? Why did I do a British accent, and a terrible one at that? I'm very aware, and I apologize to anyone who had to hear that, to everyone who had to hear that. I am sorry. So this concludes our Hamilton episode.
Yeah.
Our probably very long Hamilton episode, but I hope you stuck with us. It's an amazing show. If we haven't made that clear, and I'm hoping that if you're listening to this, you also agree that it's an amazing show. And so follow us on all the things, and that means Facebook and Instagram.
And subscribe.
Yes. So if you we also, this is a podcast, so you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're listening to us, please also follow us on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and click the bell for notifications, so that way you're always up to date when we release new episodes. Also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Prima Nerd. Not Twitter. We don't have a Twitter yet. We have a Instagram.
No, we don't have a Twitter.
We have an Instagram
and Facebook.
And Facebook at Prima Nerd Podcast. We have an email. You can send us an email, which is primanerd2@gmail.com. And let us know what you think. Also, make sure you share our podcasts. And like, please. We really want to hear what you think. If you have any suggestions, any thoughts, anything you think we can improve upon or that you're really enjoying, we'd really love to hear what you think.
Yeah. So see you in 2 weeks in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.